Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk to you about something that people find scary in finances. It's called the budget. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, hit the like and subscribe button. If you've been here before, you know what to do. Today I just want to talk about something that if you talk to anybody close to me, they'll tell you that I'm very passionate about in finances. It's a budget. Now, a lot of the pushback that I get on a budget is that it's restrictive, they're no fun, I can't spend a lot of money. This is just sadly not true. All the budget does is tell you this is how much money you have and this is how much you're allowed to spend so that you don't go into debt. Newsflash, if you don't spend more than you make, you won't go into debt. So if you do a little bit of digging, you'll find that about 60% of Americans don't budget. And about 60% are living paycheck to paycheck. I'm not saying there's a correlation there, but I am saying if you are living paycheck to paycheck, a budget can help alleviate a lot of that stress. A lot of people, if you're living paycheck to paycheck, get to the end of the month and realize I don't have enough money for the next month. Basically, a budget's job is to tell you how much money you make and then tell you where that money is going to be spent in the month before the month happens. That way, you know before you get to the end of the month whether you're going to be short on money or not to pay next month's rent. Now, I know some people who say they have budgets made up in their head and they follow that and they keep track of everything in their head, which is fine, except for the fact that these are the same people that keep telling me that they wish they had more money. I promise you, I started doing a budget 3 years ago, and it makes me feel like I have way more money than I do, knowing that at the end of the month, no matter how much I spend within my budget, I'm not going to run out of money. It's a huge weight off my shoulders, knowing that I have the funds to keep going forward. Some of these people have mounds and mounds of debt, but they still don't put their budget on paper. They continue to keep it in their head and keep saying, as long as I make this minimum payment, I'll pay this off in 5, 7, 10, 30 years. It really starts to hit home when you start putting hours to it. Let's say you make $20 an hour. Now, for this example, I'm not going to take out any taxes. I'm just going to keep it straight numbers. If I make $20 an hour and I have student loans that I have to pay that are $300 a month, I have to work 15 hours to pay that month's student loans. Just that month. Now imagine how many hours I have to pay of my time to pay off my student loans over the long term of things. All the while, those student loans are gaining interest. And when they're gaining interest, that's more hours that I have to work out of my day for a degree that I already have. Now, luckily for me, I graduated 3.5 years ago, and the tens of thousands of dollars in debt that I was from student loans, I have paid off. But it wasn't because I have a high paying job. It was because I budgeted and I knew where my money was going. So I knew how much every month I could put towards student loans without going over the amount of money I'm going to make, so I could keep going on the next month. Now you're saying, okay, TJ, I get it. I gotta make a budget. But I don't know how to do that. I wasn't taught how to make a budget in school. I wasn't taught how to make a budget by my parents. I wasn't taught how to make a budget anywhere. And that's where I'm going to come in. I'm going to show you how I make a budget and how you can make your budget work for you. So the first thing you need to do is you need to write down your fixed expenses. This is minimum credit card payments, car loans, student loans, mortgage payments, Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, anything that's fixed that you pay monthly, yearly, however often you pay it, that's a fixed number, okay? Those are the things you need to write down first. Next, you need to write down your variable expenses. This is your electricity, your water, your groceries, your gas. Now, a lot of these variable expenses may be close month to month, but this is something that you're gonna have to work with. What I would recommend is going back through the last 3 months of your expenses on your credit card statements and your debit card statements, cash, checks, whatever you have. I'd go on the last 3 months and categorize everything. Personally, when I started budgeting 3 years ago and I look back at my statements, I thought that I must run every fast food restaurant in town because there was McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, Chipotle, Moe's, everything that you could think of, I was eating it, and I was eating it often. That is a stark difference from what I'm doing now, because my grocery bill during that time was close to zero. I want to point out something that I said earlier. The minimums on your credit card. I said the minimums on your credit card, and that also applies to your car, your mortgage, and all your other debts that you have. If you have multiple credit cards, the minimums on each of them. Now what you're going to do is you're going to write down all these numbers. These are all negatives. Then you're going to take what you make in a month and write that down. Add up all your negatives, subtract it from what you make in a month. If you have a positive number, this is good. And I would take what's left of that positive number and apply it to your debts to pay off your debts as quickly as possible. I'll make another video on the debt snowball and different methods on how to pay off debt as quickly as possible to get you going in the right direction. But if this number is negative, that's where we have some work to do. You got to start finding ways to cut things. You got to start going on Pinterest and finding all the different 10 ways to save money. You got to start yelling at the kids when they leave the lights on for more than 2 minutes in a room that they're not in. Sorry, Mom. You got to start seeing what's on sale at the grocery store. Stop eating out as much. Do something to reduce your expenses, because at this rate, you're going into more and more debt every month. And if I had to guess, you're putting that debt on your credit card. And a credit card has one of the highest interest rates out of all of the debt categories. My student loans had somewhere between a 3 and 5% interest rate. Over time, I'd rather pay 3 to 5% on my money than 23% on my money. Now, to keep up with this, what you need to do is you need to write down your expenses every single day. If you want to, and you're good about it, you can write it down at the end of every week. You can go back through your credit card statement or your debit card statement and write down everything that you spend. This way, you never run out of money. As long as that number you found was a positive number or zero, it's okay to be zero. But if it's a positive number or zero, you're okay. You will keep increasing your savings over time, and that in turn will allow you to invest more that you can then build more wealth with. Now, I can't hit everyone on this example, but I did want to give an example of a budget. So we have Tim here who makes $3,000. Tim has a monthly rent of $1,000 with a $20 renter's insurance, a $300 car payment, and a $100 insurance payment on the car per month. He spends about $500 in groceries, a $70 phone bill, about $200 on gas. He's got 2 credit cards with minimum payments of $30 each, and he allows himself $200 for entertainment every month. With all of this, Tim has $150 left over. But because of the credit cards, student loans, and car loans that he's currently paying on, I wouldn't count that as leftover and start saving it. What I would do is I would put it towards my debt so I could pay more on that debt, so eventually the debt goes down and it goes to zero. Now I have the amount that I'm paying on the car, my student loans, the 2 credit cards, and the leftover all go into savings. Now, I'll make another video on debt and debt reduction and how to make sure that you have your debt in control. Because I can promise you one thing, if you don't start taking control of your finances, no one else will. Now, once you have your budget in place and your debt paid off, now you have all the capital you need to start investing, even at $10 a day, which is what I'm going to get into now. For those of you who are new here, I've started this series on YouTube, starting with investing $10 a day or $70 a week into my M1 Finance. I invest in 7 random stocks from the S&P 500, and I let you see the results every week. The point I'm trying to make with this is that over time, the stock market goes up, and so you should be constantly investing into the stock market. You don't have to do it every day or every week, but I would recommend monthly or at least a large sum annually. So for those of you who have been keeping up, right now I have a 0.32% gain, which is actually down from last week when I had a 0.64% gain. And that's okay, because there are fluctuations in the market. Everything's not always up day to day, but over time it's up. So don't take this weekly decrease as saying that the stock market goes down and I'm going to lose all my money. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just letting you know that it did decrease this week, but I'm still going to invest my $70. So without further ado, let's pick the random numbers. Right now they're being generated, and then I'll tell you what each of them are. If you would like, I'll give a description on each of them, but for now, I'm just going to tell you what they are and then put my money in. So the first one we have at 449 is Twitter, 229 is LKQ Corporation, 18 is Alexion Pharmaceuticals, 105 is our first repeat of the year with Cigna Corporation, 419 is Stanley Black & Decker, 418 is Southwest Airlines, and 354 is Oracle Corporation. So right now you're going to see me put $70 into this new pie that I've created for this week, and then I'll keep you updated next week and the weeks to come on how it's doing. If you want to get started investing, you can use the links down below to start an M1 Finance account or your Robinhood account. If you want to learn a little bit more about investing, check out some of my previous videos, and as always, like and subscribe. Till next time, see ya!